Greetings and welcome to the Good, the Dub and the Global on Triple R, Wunmi.
Thanks for having me, Systa BB.
It is my pleasure. That particular track ended up being used as part of a really important campaign, yeah?
Yeah, what they call it, White Ribbon Alliance, which was an organization set up to bring awareness to maternity death, women dying in this day and age, and childbearing, giving birth, which is quite deep, 2011. Yeah. So I was definitely very honored to be part of that and to actually put on music that speaks about
the issues. And
yes.
No one's listening.
No one is listening, no.
You're based in New York, you're listening to London and the club scene, and you go back to Nigeria for refreshment. You are a global citizen.
We live in a world, though. We're not isolated. Even when I was born in England, raised in Nigeria, and in the 10 years I lived in Nigeria, we used to listen to all kinds of music. I remember the music that my cousins who were older than me were playing were music straight off from Jamaica. So all the conscious lyrics, Mighty Diamond, Leroy, and then Bob Marley, and then music straight from UK and music from America. And it's such a funny thing returning to UK at the age of 14, and everyone assumed that you didn't know nothing. I said, no, actually we knew more than you guys, because we were getting things hot off the plate. Yeah. And Africa was very much into their music, so they chased music like anyone else.
Yeah, it is an absolute nonsense that people think that because you come from a particular part of the world, that is all that you're listening to.
That's what makes the world so unique. And for me, coming to Australia for the first time, I've been blown away, because if you just pay attention to the regular mainstream news, you could be made a dumb. Yeah. They'll say they'll dumb you. They'll really dumb you. And you take everything they give you as gospel. But I've already sending messages on Facebook like, my goodness me, there are people here just like there were people in UK. Yeah. I didn't know this. I mean, it sounds kind of ignorant, but honest to God, you only were understanding that there were folks who came from UK and the history about how Australia was founded and the Aborigines. But to get here and find, wow, people came around the same time when those were people come from the West Indian to UK. That's right. The same thing was happening here.
And you've met up with incredibly talented people like DJ Mr. Fish and people from Public Opinion. And I guess that must have really blown you out to hear Afrobeat being made in Melbourne.
It just creates it's like the circle, completes the circle, and then also opens up the market in terms of your mind to the fact that it really is not a small world. Yeah. And the possibilities are endless. And it also makes the sharing. You know, music is power.
Yeah, so it is. Music is a weapon, as fella would say.
Long live the father.
So am I right in saying that you actually started out as a dancer with Soul to Soul?
I am the girl who had the long braids before everyone was doing it and swinging it around.
You were in that incredible video. It still gets played on Rage, Back to Life. Yeah. That amazing silhouette coming through.
That was an era back home in London that time, because it was a time again where black people were seen but not heard. Yeah. We did a lot of stuff for other people. And I remember coming back to England at that age, teenager, and then when I finally was able to go out to clubs, all I wanted to do was dance. And to find the places you wanted to dance, you had to listen to the underground. So we used to go to underground parties and warehouse parties, as we called it then, and all the DJs. So word of mouth, you knew where to go and get your groove on. And that's how the group grew and the following till when the whole party moved to Covent Garden at Africa, the center of the world. It's quite funny when I think about it now that the fact they had the party at African Center.
That's right.
I thought that was quite poignant in its way. And that was where getting to know Jazzy getting to know, we end up all knowing each other. You know who's on the floor, you know who's doing what. We knew all the DJs just like they knew all the dancers. So I guess my timing was right. And
it's about timing, but it was also, I remember being in London at that time. It was such an exciting time, because it was like all of these different cultures refusing to conform to stereotypes. Yes. It's like, okay, just because I'm from Nigeria doesn't mean I just like Nigerian music. And coming together with Soul to Soul, with all of the different music threads that they
it was like Nelly Hooper, who was from Bristol.
That's right,
the whole
Bristol mob.
Yeah, there was all north, south, northeast, and it was just for the love and the soul love of music. And you know, when you go to this club, it's such a funny thing because it's like a family in the end. You actually, everyone knew each other, just like, oh my God, there goes that. And it was just the love of the music, and the energy was that positive, and everyone came together. And like I said, Jazzy's gift was that he spotted talents, and he brought everyone, Karen Wheeler, Rose Windrose, you know, he brought the whole, you know, he tapped into it.
But it was all soul based.
It was,
and then pushing those boundaries.
But it was really a reflection of the community.
Yeah.
Because when you listen to the music, it had dub, it had the West Indian vibe, it had the English vibe, it had the American vibe, it had the Afro vibe, it had all the components of the energy that was pulsating in London. And I guess also to understand that up to that point, really, we had West Indians who would come and do shows, Americans would come and do shows. The black musicians would support the white artists.
Yeah.
There were few and far between really established English band that were prominently really not apologizing, just in your face, here it is. And it was just funny. I think it was just the time was right and all the right energy came together. And I still remember now cousins of mine who went home to Nigeria, because I didn't get to go. I didn't go to Nigeria for a long while. And they all told me the joke that when they got home, they were telling people, "Oh, that's our cousin." They said, "Yeah, and she's my sister," because like everybody wanted to take a piece of you, everyone wanted to claim you. But yeah, it was really special.
So when did you first start recording, finding your own voice?
My actual journey to music started with Roy Ayers. And that was actually as a dancer, because he used to come to, and he's going to be in Australia soon.
That's right.
No, I'm uncle. I actually told him when I was coming, I said, I'm going to Australia. He said, what's your date? He said, oh my God, you arrive when I leave. I'm like, oh, next time. But anyway, before I got into Soul to Soul, my cousin took me to a party, and it was his party at a massive venue in North London. And I got taken backstage because I was dressed like I dress on stage now. Back in those days, the street was my catwalk, was my stage. Go out and do your thing. Anyway, I got to meet him, and he just felt my energy. And he went on stage soon afterwards, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to call you on stage," but I thought he was just being nice. 2 songs later, I heard the man announce me, "Ladies and gentlemen, special guest all the way from Nigeria. He's never seen me do anything." He announced me. And that was really my first taste of being on stage in front of hundreds, thousands of people. And every time he came back to London, he would call me and say, "Wunmi, I'm here, come." Sooner or later, he said to him, "So when are you going to start singing?" I'm looking at me sing. I had no intention of singing. It was nowhere near me. All I wanted to do was dance at that point. My spirit was craving just to release. The journey with Soul to Soul carried on. People kept approaching me. "So when are you going to sing?" I'm like, what's everybody's problem about this singing thing? I had no intention. But the journey, when something is calling you, at one point you stop running. I call music like the boyfriend who's been chasing you and you've been avoiding, and you suddenly decide, okay then, what do you want? So that's how I got into music. I moved to New York to go and work on my demo, because I had a demo deal from Island Records. And I guess my biggest fear at the time was that everything around me was swing and R&B, you know, taken from where I was feeling and what I was hearing. There was nothing that resembled me outside of what I heard when I was in Nigeria. And I really didn't realize how nervous I was about that till I had to go into the studio to do this demo. And when I opened my mouth and talked with the producers, the guys had come together who I said, I felt that they understand what I wanted to do music-wise. And when we did it, I was just like, I didn't know whether I was happy or depressed at the end of the day, because I realized what I always had in my heart, that what was going to come out was this African girl, and she was in your face. It was not avoiding it. My first recording was called Mumbo Jumbo. And that was a song that was really just about growing up, watching movies in Africa, and everything was, you would see something, you're like, wow, wonder what part of Africa that's from. And afterwards you realize they weren't actually speaking any dialect. They were just going, and that was really hurtful. It was like, wow. That was like, so that thing just stayed with me when I guess, and then I realized, oh, Wunmi, you're going to be writing like fella. You're just going to be talking about issues. So that was when I really first got into the music thing, and my first demo. When I delivered it to the record company, they're like, this is great, but this is going to be a hard sell. my heart sunk.
Yeah,
I
that
said,
shit.
had it, you know. And just when I was about to drag myself back to London, Uncle Roy calls me and say, Wunmi, I've got this album I'm going to do with BMG. I want you on it. I was feeling so sorry for myself. I was like, you don't really want to get me because I can't do this stuff. I can only do it. He didn't hear a word of what I said. He called me. He told me what day he was in the studio. I want to see you there. Yeah. I walked into the studio that day. Thought I was sketching out songs to come back to fill in. He's like, okay, I'm going to Japan. I'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll finish it. 2 weeks came. Another 2 weeks. I didn't hear from him. I said, oh, well, you see, I was right. I can't even do this. I can't even get... He calls me almost 4 weeks after he traveled to say, Wunmi, come and meet me. We're mastering the album. You got to come and fill up all these forms. Yes, you got to join ASCAP because you got 2 songs. I'm like, huh? 2 songs? That began my journey.
We're going to hear a track now called Greedy Body. Tell us about this track.
Well, like I said, talking about my demo, this was actually one of the original songs I had presented for my demo. And I kept it through to this first album, which is not bad. And really, Greedy Body, no, it really says a lot about the journey that I've taken. Greedy Body really was a reflection of how, again, social issues and commentary about things around me matters a lot, you know, because again.
And dancing.
Oh yeah, you know, you it's a balance of both, man. Like Fela does it, you know, he gives you something to dance to, and meanwhile he's kind of slapping you up your head.
That's it. You're on Triple R. This is the Good, the Dub, and the Global, and I have Wunmi in the studio who's hopefully downloading a whole bunch of new tunes for me to be able to put out on the decks that I'm very, very happy about. And we've just heard a track from her last album called A Greedy Body. Has there ever, Wunmi, look at me, has there ever been any kind of pressure on you to do Afrobeat because you are Nigerian, that this is the music that you must be doing?
This is so funny she asked that question, because this is the conversation I've had recently with my agent and also with my band members. I've struggled with being labelled.
Yeah.
I love Afrobeat, don't get me wrong. I grew up with it. Fela is one of my, if you say who inspire you, he has. You know, because he's used music to motivate, to inspire, and to educate. And I feel there's nothing more, music has been a weapon for centuries over the time. So for me, you know, getting into music, when I finally released all my questions and fears, it was really just to go there and do me, to explore me. Now, the obvious issue I had was, when I think about Afrobeat, I think about a huge band. I think about all the intricate, all the... You know, it's like funk. You can't fake a funk. You're either doing funk or you're not doing funk. And why would you claim to be doing something if you know that you're not doing it like exactly it's meant to be? So that was the other thing. And I didn't also want the pressure of trying to maintain a legacy of somebody who's untouchable. And he has 2 sons who were doing a damn good job at it. So I just wanted to go on my own journey, which is a Wunmi journey. And being influenced by, you can't take me, I mean, the truth is you can't take Afro out of me. It speaks, no matter what I do, how I look, how I sing, how I dance, it's very much me. So I didn't think I had to put that on fill in the form to say Afro, please, because you see me coming. So I wanted to just explore my own, what I was hearing, feeling. So initially when I came out, everyone kept saying Afrobeat. Oh, she's a female version of Fela. And that's a huge mantle to carry, and I struggle with that. Right?
There also aren't that many women doing Afrobeat, and that's another thing. It's like you've broken into this world that really is without
male world. I think the African music scene, full stop, is men first, and the women come in. And if you look at the women who are in, they had to walk like they're carrying balls. Yes, literally. And it's such a funny thing, because I really, really never really thought about it until when I started having to deal with this. What are you going to do? Because when I released my first album, I was so adamant about not wanting to be typecast and called Afro, because I'm not really doing Afrobeat, so to speak, but I am doing Afro something. It's Afro fusion. And I'm sure, I also heard the stories, and I spoke to quite a few people when I had to do a program on Fela, that he was not happy about that title either, because he felt that wasn't what he was about. He was creating something that he didn't really feel that he had to title it, you know.
That's right, because you were on that wonderful Nigeria Nigeria 70, and there was a disc that came with it.
I was the narrator on that.
That's right, on the history of Afrobeat with Ginger Baker and all the others
that
talking
was massive.
about
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
It was a huge release.
I feel like, and actually the label that put that out,
Strut,
the guy, Quentin, he was the one who actually backed he stayed with me. He loved everything he heard me doing. And he was one of the people that kept saying, so when are you doing your album? And when I finally stepped from that place of doing collaboration and said, okay, I think people know what I'm about now, that I can actually step forward and let people know more, actually, that everything they've heard is not a fluke. It really is Wunmi. And she does love fusion. I grew up hearing all kinds of sounds. It's not one sound. But the irony about it, too, is that always at the bottom of it is the beat. Yeah. You can never take the beat away. So putting ALA together was like me letting people know that, okay, this is really her. And the extension of where I'm coming from and where I'm going. The mantle of wearing that Afrobeat thing took me a while. I mean, I suffered a lot with that because in the end, people did not know where to put me in terms of my music, because I wouldn't say I was doing Afrobeat. And when the industry comes calling, you have to tell them. Yeah. You have to say what genre. And when you say dance, they don't get that either.
No, they don't get that. But it was good enough for Tony Allen to have you play at his 70th birthday celebrations not that long ago at the Barbican.
And
while everybody was watching Tony Allen and Shion Kuti and whatever else, you got out there, kicked their ass, and they all got up and danced.
How did you know about that? So really, that really is a point. I'll go to events and people say, the queen of Afrobeat is here. And I'm like, well, Wunmi, you better just get over it, really. Get over it, And it's not a crime. It's not a bad thing. And I guess I'm understanding it. And I'm very appreciative of it. And I feel like as long as it doesn't limit me, because in the end it's about what I do and what I'm doing. And I love, the core about, for me, when I think about Afrobeat, it is really about this music pulsating and really saying something that means something.
Because you're coming from that whole direction, I guess, as well, of dance.
Yes.
If you a very well-known DJ in Melbourne who now lives in London, Queen Bee, once said to me, if you move people's feet, their hearts and their minds will follow.
Yes, and that is very much so. Yeah. And I grew my fan base based on that. Yeah. People came like, have you seen her? And you
also haven't been afraid of collaborating with DJs either. A lot of people, like I'm a remix girl, I love remixes, but a lot of artists, particularly in Afrobeat, won't go down that path of allowing other people to throw in a house beat or whatever else, whereas you've embraced it.
That to me is really where I came from. They were the people who embraced me. I mean, the reality was that, my first release was with Masters of Work, and that was the cover that I did of Fusion, both two songs of Fela, He's Expensive, and
you say it, expensive shit.
Okay, because I'm not everywhere you can speak like that too. So make us see the expensive shit and Upside Down, which was done by the only female vocalist that people ever know of doing a Fela tune. So putting those two together and doing it in such a hardcore way, and they really did put some serious musicians behind that, and I was really happy to be able to come up and represent it in such a way that when I went to Miami for the first time, that's the Winter Music Conference, and I came on stage, came with two percussionists, did two of my own songs a cappella into that song, the audience erupted and they're like, and that cemented my growth into knowing that there is a genre that I fit in as a dancer who loves to dance and who loves music and love DJs, because DJs, you don't have to travel. Once you got a good DJ, they'll take you anywhere and everywhere you want to go. And that began my journey, and I kind of worked on that scene a lot, and it was great because it led to more collaborations. I worked with DJ producers from all over the world, and what they wanted in the end was just my voice, and that was good for me because that's what gave me confidence to like, wow, I do make sense,
Indeed you do. So we're going to take another track off the album. What would you like to hear?
Let's take people to a side that they wouldn't expect in some way.
Excellent.
I would say go to Woman Child.
To Woman Child, and tell us about this.
Well, it's such a funny journey growing up in Africa as a kid. I grew up without my parents, and the hardest thing for me was really coping with my mom not being there and coming back to England and realizing that the mother that I really want is something I've always going to carry in my imagination, and I have to deal with the mother that I really do have. And actually, in my journey, I have been mothered by really strong women who gave me all the love and the support that I could possibly want from my mother. And I felt that that's a reflection of our society, that us women really should look at each other. We really should share what we have with each other, and to make a much stronger community for us and for our community. So that's what Woman Child really represents. And I'm such an energy person on stage that when people hear me do that song live, they're like blown away. And it's amazing that I tend to close my show with a ballad, because it's the least expected thing of me. Because
mustn't conform to expectations.
No, can't do it.
And it's coming up to about 2:45 down here in Triple R, and I have the great Wunmi in the studio, and it is such a gift to have somebody for more than 10 or 15 minutes to play maybe one track or two, and then have a little bit of a quick chat, and then they've got to race off and do something else. So hope you guys out there are enjoying it as much as what I am. I only knew that Wunmi was coming to Australia after, I mean, everybody knew the big day out was on Sunday. And I'd got about halfway through the program thinking, yep, great, good lineup, seen most of these bands, don't think I need to be going out. And then DJ Mr. Fish contacted me to say, did you know that Wunmi's coming? It's like, what? It's taken a big rock and roll festival to bring this incredibly talented artist to Australia, and I want her to be able to return, to be able to have like a big kind of a tour of some of our great clubs and stuff in Australia. How have big kind of, I guess, what have festivals been like in terms of like what people call world music festivals, or what? It's kind of like you're slipping through the cracks.
You want me to go here, right? You're opening a can of worms that I was hoping I would not. But, you know, this has been, when you talked about, you know, being classed Afrobeat and me struggling with carrying that mantle, it's been that fun because I've never been a purist. I grew up with wanting to do me, and do me means whatever way it comes. So in that sense, I'm not wearing mudcloth and I ain't carrying a djembe, and I'm not singing or using the obvious thing that they will call world music. But there is no denial that my roots are African. That's actually why my album was called ALA. African Living Abroad. I had so many people trying to define me, tell me what I should do, why I should do it, and what will work and what won't work. And I don't understand, why is it that music in general can grow, but when it comes to African music, they want to put us and keep us in one place. And world music is such a place that the youths who definitely enjoy what I'm doing will never think to go to world music. Not because there's nothing wrong with world music, but the title itself and the energy and the order they put around it, it's not entertaining. It doesn't inspire the youth to go looking.
There were plenty of youth there on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon when I schlepped on out there in 30 odd degrees.
And I'm so happy to have seen you, and in the heat. And that, to me, they took a chance with me, and I'm so happy. And thanks to DJ Fish, who basically sang my name till they felt they needed to throw me in just to see what having an alternative artist in the Afro fusion world can do. Music is music, man. And I kept saying, if the radios weren't so busy programming and thinking they know what people want and just let music play, let the music play, the whole world would be in such more joy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what we're hearing right now, but spice it up a bit more. And so for me, I think it's quite ironic, you know, coming to the festival here that is predominantly rock. And I'm that guy, great. And I feel it's my advantage too, because I'm the best kept secret, so to speak. And in this platform, all I can do is do me, and all I can do is blow people's mind away.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that the world music festivals that I would have thought I would get a lot of coverage and support, unfortunately, I'm their worst nightmare, because they're trying to keep things pure, or what they think is pure, and they've gotten all this. Oh, God, don't let me go there.
Thank you, Larry, Christo, and Duck Pond. That's all we've got to say about that.
Thank you, Lily World, for being who you are. Love, peace, and harmony, and alternative and eclectic, and that really is, I mean, I look at the kids' faces, I look at the audience who came, who've been totally like, and the people kept saying, so where else are you playing, and who are you, where are you from? And I'm like, wow, that is what, and that should be how it should be.
Back. So you got to come back.
Australia, I'm coming back. I don't know about you, but I'm coming back. And I think it's that's the risk I took too, saying yes to come on this gig. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It has been a lot of learning, you know, and I've got to give it up to my band. Abu Diarasoba on drums, Kwame Yaboa, who's actually who's my MD for UK/Ghana of the band, because that's how you have to hold it down, man. And then Jeremy Mage, who's my MD for my US New York band. And bringing that two heads together, because actually we're all working on my third album. Second album. Meaning 3 people working with me on my second album. And it really was like, for years I've worked with producers and DJs, as I was saying. And then taking the music to my musicians and said, hey guys, this is the latest tune. And we reworked it for the live shows. So this time I'm doing it the other way around, working with my live musicians, who are my producers, MDs, and now going to take that same track and give it to the DJs and say, okay guys, you do your magic on this.
That's right.
And they've all been waiting. I get so many emails. So when are we getting a cappella? So can I get to do something on this album then? And it's really great. It's really encouraged me to just keep going.
Where's
to finish.
My dub plate?
I know, God, jeez.
But your band, I was really impressed with your band, because just standing and watching, there's a guy who's playing keyboards and bass and vocals.
Yes, Jeremy Mage.
And you told me that you normally have a band in New York, a band in Ghana,
London,
and a band in London.
Yes.
So it was like trying, and you normally play with a 5-piece band?
At least minimum 5, and that means a person who's playing bass and solely playing bass, and a person who's playing guitar and is playing guitar, and then the keyboardist, the drummer, percussionist, and sometimes BV. And it's interesting, you know, that's another thing of me, again, stepping from the stereotypical image of what an Afro band is. You expect a 10-piece and up, and the reality in this day and age, you can't go on a road like that.
No.
And because of the music I do, and it fuses electronical sounds, it was like, I'm going to keep pushing this envelope. The expectation of what people expect from me, and the sound, and you know, the Afro, you're never going to take African out of me, because my voice is pure. My heritage speaks through me.
But your actual band members themselves are involved in a lot of other projects.
Yes.
Like your bass player.
Jeremy Mage, who played the bass and the keys and vocals, he's worked with so many different bands, and he's doing his own solo project and working on we're all working on this next album. And then Kwame Yaboa, he played the guitar, congas as well as keys, and he's the MD for Ghana and UK and Europe, and he actually is the MD and producer of the last Osibisa album.
Right, yeah.
And among other things, he's also the musical director for Craig Davis.
Yeah.
He actually toured Australia with Craig Davis and also with Yusuf Aslam. He is a phenomenal musician, as well as Abu on drums, Abu Diarasoba. And you know, it's just magical to be able to work with the musicians who know where you're coming from, who understands all the logistics and all the quirky things. And being an African living abroad themselves, they understand what we're hearing. Yeah. You know, and we're not limiting ourselves to one particular sound. And we dared ourselves to come and do this gig with such a small setup. It was like, we can do this. And you know, they doubled up on bass and keys and guitar, and they both play these instruments. I mean, Abu, it was one of those things where you're like, I'm going to come to Australia and I'm going to bring it on. Let's do this.
So next time when you come back with your full band.
Oh,
and
yes.
You'll be a lot happier and richer for that experience.
It will be another development in a sense, you know, and hopefully we'll be able to...
in the Wunmi story.
And we're looking also to, you know, to collaborate, shall I say, because moving around now, there are musicians all over the world. That is the advantage of being able to flow with a small unit too. You could pick up. I love that too, because it creates an exchange, and it leads to other possibilities. So coming again doesn't necessarily mean that I will necessarily bring a huge band, because I want to be able to check out what's happening on the scene here and do collaborations and have guests because my music allows for that too. I could have guests on stage.
And it just adds so much more to the sound as well when you're bringing different experiences and different backgrounds and different flavours to that, which is a really exciting thing. Now, before we go with one last track, which you're going to pick for us, talk to me about your clothing line. You've got a clothing line.
Yes.
I was very impressed when I saw that, because you are known for being hot. You are known for having incredibly hot outfits.
Well, you know, I actually studied fashion back home in London College of Fashion. I went there. I had to give something to my dad so he didn't feel like I just totally gone and lost my mind. So arts has followed me, and everything I do is releasing and finding that connection within my spirit and my soul that's demanding. So I studied fashion. When I moved to New York, which wasn't, again, I never confessed that I moved to New York. I went there to do my demo and to explore music. I fell into this circle of fellow artists of all creative. Everyone was doing one thing or another. And there was a situation that came up where I needed somewhere to stay, and a friend hooked me up in an apartment. I was like, wow. I said, well, I don't have any money right now, but I could do something in exchange. I could create your costumes for your dance company. And there began a relationship where I am now been designing costumes for Alvin Ailey, Evidence, all the top black dance companies in the US I've designed costumes for. And in that process, people started finding out that, wow, she doesn't just sing, she actually makes clothes. And my fans would see me and like, well, do you think that outfit that you made for that company, you could make a version? Or I would do my summers after my shows. When shows were quiet, I would go on my machine, getting all excited about what I'm going to wear and create clothes. And that's how I built that line slowly, quietly, under the radar. And it's great having a balance, you know, being creatively, how can I say, inspired, where everything you do in your life has to do with being creative. When one gets intense, I have a backup, something to run to and lose myself in. And when that one gets intense, I run back the other way. So having two masters.
So where can people see your line? Is it online? Or
my website, Wunmi.com, which is WUNMI.com. My online boutique is soon to pop up, but definitely go online, join my mailing list. And I know I wore some of my dresses here on the road and people already screaming for me, where can we get it? So I promise.
I know your mudcloth rah-rah skirt was something to be hot, seen, right? To be believed. That was gorgeous.
And all my stage clothes I design. And I used to have a partner. We used to have a t-shirt line, labels called Zulu Rose, and it's still running. And he does the most amazing graphics. So most of my band t-shirts are created by Zulu Rose. So that is ZULUROSE.com. So for the t-shirts, but definitely join Wunmi.com mailing list, and everything pertaining to Wunmi, music, dance, and
it's all there.
And clothes. Yeah, I was hoping to do some teaching dance too, you know.
Well, come back. So your laptop's let us down. We're going to take one more track off the album. What are we going to hear? What do you want to hear?
You like dub, so do you want to do Keep It Rockin'?
I think Keep It Rockin' is probably a damn fine idea. How did you come to dub? Is it through Lee Scratch Perry, King Tubby, all of those
in London,
old school?
Man.
Yeah.
You know, you fall in the sound system. How are you going to go to Carnival and don't stand next to the dub when they boo, 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 boo. And that's great for me. When I open my show, I open the show with a dub song. Yeah. It's just like, just to understand the connection. Wunmi Girl is this working, when I say she walks around the earth and involving herself in all the sounds that's involving the earth, has a lot of pulses, and the bass is the bottom of it all.
I have a friend who is in a band in New Zealand who reckons that the bass is actually a woman's instrument because of the chakras. So it's our instrument. Thank you so much for spending such a lovely piece of time with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Dove
really
and the
excited.
Global.
I was excited when they told me that I could get to come and be on your program, because everyone speaks so highly of you.
Oh, thank you. Blushing here. So let's hear some dub, and hopefully real soon we'll see you back on these shores.
And I would love
in our kind of space.
Yes, and we share more music, right?
Absolutely.
Great.